The Bell Witch may be one of the most well-known haunting tales in American history. In the mid-19th century, the Bell family was tormented in their Tennessee home from 1817 to 1821 by an entity that attacked primarily the father, John Bell Sr., and one of his daughters, Lucy Bell. What sets this haunting apart from most is that this entity would eventually lead to the death of one of the family members, making it one of the very few paranormal cases of homicide in American folklore. Today, we will be talking about the Bell Witch, bitch!
It's evil! Don't touch it!
It's alive!
I was you.
They're coming to get you by the power of Christ. This is
Me?
Hello, Mr. Fancy Pants.
And here we are again, Matt.
Yeah,
How you doing,
man.
buddy?
I'm doing
You
great.
know?
How are you, dude?
I'm all right, man. I can't complain.
Man, one of these days we will be in the same room doing one of these episodes. I can't wait. That would be so
It would
much
be
fun.
it would be a lot less logistically plausible to make it sound better. That's for sure.
Very true. Very true. My sister wanted this story so bad that, I mean, I went through it. I've heard, read, and seen so much shit about this story.
There's so many different variations of this story. It's because it's an American. It's folklore. I mean, you cannot prove nor disprove this. There were a couple badass movies made about it.
An American Haunting is real good until the end, and then they have to do the Hollywood bullshit. But
Yeah.
the movie was good up until the end, I think. But
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I believe this also inspired The Blair Witch, which if you've never seen, go ahead and try to watch it. It'll make you throw up because of the shaky cam thing. But
love that damn movie.
it was good. Yeah.
Because when that came out, it was like me and Derek Dirks. I'd go over to his house after we was working third shift at the plant that we worked at, and
Right.
we go over there, and it was like every day getting on the computer because I didn't have one at home. I was getting on the computer reading all that shit that was coming out, and I was like,
Oh yeah.
is this fake or is it real? But I just let it go. I was like, I'm going to suspend disbelief and I'm just going to dive into this. So I went and watched it like
That
3
was
times.
one of the first mockumentary movies, wasn't it? That's the first one.
Yeah,
I mean,
that was
in
the
a
found
horror-
footage. That was
Yeah.
like the beginning of found footage.
As far as
Yeah.
horror genre goes, I mean, there were definitely mockumentaries before that. I mean, like
Yeah.
Spinal Tap is
Spinal Tap is a good one.
Oh my
Fuck
god,
yeah.
it's a perfect movie.
So good.
Rock and
so good.
rolls.
Hello, Cleveland. You're not in Cleveland.
Yeah. Which way to the stage? Good shit.
Oh man, no. The thing about this one is, I mean, I went through a documentary that's actually from Adams, Tennessee.
Okay.
That went through mainly like the facts that they had.
Basically trying to list it shit in order. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's what my notes are from. So my notes are short because the other stories that we will get off in tangents on is going to get crazy with this story, I think.
We'll see. We'll see how much I remember, man. I do recall, I don't know. I think I've probably seen like 3 docs in this, and I attempted to get through a couple of books that were written, like 40 or 50 years after these supposed events took place. And just because of the way they read, it's like you read like 4 sentences and you're like,
Mm-hmm. No.
you were out like a light. So I never got real far with it. But
I do like the story because, to quote Neil Fallon, I am a sucker for the witch. I mean,
yeah. I tell you what,
stories.
And this isn't. I wouldn't say this is really a witch story. This is more like a poltergeist, or like that doesn't quite go into possession territory, but that's what it reminds me of more than anything. With like some of the events that happened,
It's a lot like the Black Monk, actually.
Yes. Yeah. It's more paranormal than like witchy, I guess, but I think everything was a witch back then, you know.
Of course it was. That's why. Yeah,
So-
that's why it's got the name.
So that's how
But
they explained it.
And I'll talk at the end that they do like a festival every year that I would fucking love to attend. But
And it's October, right? It's in October.
so in 1817, John Bell, he moves to Adams County, Tennessee. He's a wealthy farmer from North Carolina,
Right.
which a lot of people had questions about later on. It's like, why did this super wealthy farmer move?
From North Carolina.
Yeah.
I think most of the land that he got from his father, right? When he married his wife.
I believe so, yeah.
And right from the beginning, I'll tell you what, it's kind of fucked up because he was like 33, I believe, when they got married.
Yeah.
And she was 13.
That's really fucking gross.
Yeah. But I mean, at the time, that was the way it was. I mean, as soon as a girl becomes a woman, she could be married.
You're not a woman at 13. That's fucking ridiculous.
So, like, I just wanted to throw that in there. This is fucking weird times. I mean,
yeah, well, there's other stuff that happened just because it was back in the day too.
yeah.
They had people that worked for him on the farm that they owned, which is
Yeah.
fucking awful.
Servants, right?
Well, whatever. Yeah, fucking awful regardless.
From a different continent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this story will start off. I mean, we could go through it. They lived at this house for 13 years before anything happened.
Right.
Pillars of the community, rich, they're wealthy farmers.
Technically not wealthy, just doing all right. They were good upper middle class, really. I mean, a lot of people say that he was wealthy, but I mean, at the time, he had like 300 acres or something like that, 360.
Man, I've read from 360 to 1,000.
Well,
So I have no idea exactly.
I believe it was 360. I got that information from like a podcast that I listened to that the guy actually went and looked back and saw like, the plots and stuff. He only owned like 360 acres when he died.
Okay.
So,
okay. Well,
and
this
at the time they were given 100 square acres of land away to anybody that would go serve in the military for 3 years. So to put it in perspective for you, everybody had like 100 acres. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, I watched a documentary that was, I don't remember the name. I should have wrote down the name of them. But it was from Adams, Tennessee. And they made this documentary about this where they had like local people talking about it. Like some of the people that were even relatives
relations,
of the Bell family. Yeah. The Bell family. Yeah, it was getting on there and talk about it. So that's what I got most of this from, because I figured that's the most reliable, I think.
Well, it's closer to the horse's mouth.
Yeah, there you go.
Further away from its ass. Yeah.
Yeah. So for 13 years, they lived there in this house.
Nothing happened.
Everything cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything's good. But one night he's out. John Bell is out, and he sees a dog-like creature out in the field, and he pops a shot at it because it's not like any dog he's ever seen. It's like a big wolf creature, but it has a rabbit's head.
Whoa! So chimera.
Chimera. Yeah, we're going back to chimera.
Yeah.
And it didn't stop there, because they said, this is what kicks it off, kind of, when he takes a shot at this dog. It doesn't hit it, and it runs off. And then they talked about this large birds, big black cats, all these animals that were so weird that they couldn't explain.
Could be familiars. Yeah, possibly.
See, I like that. I like the way we were going with that. But
yeah,
let's
get witchy, bitch. Come on.
Yeah, might as well. I'm a fan. and then some of the people that worked on the farm. That's how I'm going to say it. Some of the people that worked on the farm,
that were forced to work on the farm.
Yeah. Human beings were forced to work on the farm. Had all sorts of encounters too. But this is when the knockings begin, like knocking all around the house at all hours of the night. So it started with was Andrew, his son Andrew. Yeah.
And Andrew was really the only one that really experienced anything for quite a while. And it was basically just like hearing knocking noises, and then sounded like rats chewing on his bedpost.
Yes. And as soon
he
as
would, he would get up and it would stop and they wouldn't see anything.
Yep.
And for a while, his family just thought he was freaking nuts. You're like, what are you talking about?
And you got to think about back in the day, those houses that they built, there's every possibility of a rat being in there constantly.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Makes my skin crawl, but yeah. So that could be a thing. But as soon as you step up, it stops. Well, okay, you could have spooked the rat, but it's not going to be constant like that. But they said it was like every night, like all the time.
All night, every night,
and then
for a while.
And then bangs on the wall. I even heard animal noises inside. I heard chains, like they were hearing like chains
rattle
being drugged down the hall.
Wow.
Which is, that's the old school shit right there, man. That's Scooby-Doo, isn't it? Exactly. And then most of this focused on John, the dad, like the torment and shit was coming at him, but he didn't want his family to mention this to anybody in town.
Right.
Now, I've heard two reasons for this. I heard one was because he wanted to catch the people. He thought this was people fucking with him. So he wanted to catch these people doing it.
We'll go into that part next, but okay. Yeah.
Okay. The second was because of, well, if you go in town claiming this shit, they're going to start saying witchcraft, and pretty soon your daughter's going to be burned at a fucking stake.
Right.
You know?
And
with the mentality that they had of selling and using people.
Right.
Fucking idiots.
Goddamn right they were. The whole he thought somebody was fucking with him thing, John Bell Sr., he had either, I think he had purchased some land or he was loaning some money to this woman named Kate Bell, correct? Or
yep,
Kate.
That's coming up. Kate.
What's her name?
Kate. I don't. Oh, okay, I'm not to it yet. I know her name's Kate Batts.
Kate Batts. That's it.
Yep.
And Kate Batts was a bit of a weirdo, but he was known to be a bit of a loan shark, which back in the day was, not looked up towards it. This is, right after the Revolutionary War where these people said, fuck you to England because they didn't want to fucking pay taxes anymore. So
it's a bit of a shyster, I think.
Little bit. Yeah. Anyway, he was known to be, he had a little Scrooge McDuck in him. And, apparently there was a feud going on.
With my money.
So Kate Bat, I'll let you go into her a little bit more, but they had a little feud going on because apparently she had taken a loan out apparently from John Bell Sr. and he'd hiked the interest rate up on her a couple times after what they had originally agreed to. So she naturally
that is one story of it, but then the other story I heard is that he bought the land from her, but then there was a dispute about how much he was going to pay for it, and then he didn't pay exactly what he was supposed to pay for it.
Yeah.
So all that shit's combobulated, and
who knows?
Who knows? Yeah. So
anyway,
like a year,
they had some beef.
Year of this shit. A year of this shit happens, like knocking every night, things moving.
So John thinks it's probably she's sending her self-indentured servants to his house to like mess with him at night.
Yep. That's what he's thinking. So, he's thinking he's going to catch him.
Yeah.
But time after time after time of running outside, there's no tracks. They never catch anyone doing anything. It's just like these noises and things happening and nothing's ever caught. So he does eventually, he invites his neighbor, James Johnson, over.
One of his good friends.
Yep. He wants his family to come stay the night, and they hear things too.
And the way I heard it, it was actually John's wife, really good friends with the neighbor's wife, the Johnston, and she convinced the husband to come over and check it out because John didn't want anybody involved. And he's like, well, I can come check it out and see what I can do. So
they stay the night, and they get the bed sheets ripped off of them in the middle of the night. Now, there are other stories about how James seen a woman, like wrapped her up in the blanket and tried to throw her into the fire. And
That was a different occurrence, but yes.
was it? Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, what happened is they did witness stuff. They heard things. They heard the knocking. They heard like all this shit going on. So James told him, he's like, man, you need to get other people to come over here just to, try to solve this mystery, see what's happening. And
From there, word spread.
yeah. But then the spirit began speaking to people. Like it would talk to you. And say things.
First they would ask it questions and it would answer in raps, correct?
Yeah.
Like, how many horses do we have? 10 raps. Dead 10 horses. How many miles to town? 7 raps. 7 miles to town.
And it would recite prayers too, which is pretty messed up because you wouldn't think an entity would do that. But if it's doing that, then you don't think it's evil, maybe? I don't know. But,
the greatest trick the devil ever pulled.
He doesn't exist. There you go.
Exactly. Yeah.
And because a lot of people thought that later. Like some people thought it was an angel that they were talking to, and then other people thought, well, that's just it's a trick.
Yeah.
And that's coming up. But it seemed super nice to everybody in the house. Almost everybody in the house. It wasn't so nice.
It's still like to fucking play tricks on people and fuck with people, and it didn't like any of the indentured servants either.
Yeah. So you got a fucking racist witch ghost, which isn't the best to have, I suppose.
I mean, if you got to get one, it's probably in the top 5 worst. Yeah.
Once again, I want one that cleans. Not getting that here. It did seem nice to most everybody. Like when it responded, it would talk to you. It would say nice things, but it did not like John, and it did not like one of his daughters. And that will come up here in just a bit.
It wasn't that it didn't like her. It liked to fuck with her.
Yeah, and didn't want her to get married to the guy that she was supposed to get married to. And
right.
That'll come up. But it revealed itself when they asked what it was, and it said it was a spirit from everywhere. Like it can be anywhere. It can go anywhere. It can do whatever it wants.
Right.
Like one time Betsy, who was the daughter, that they even sent her to stay at a neighbor's house because shit got so bad. Well, while she was at the neighbor's house, it came and visited her there. Like the door flew open.
And said, what are you doing? Like, I can follow you anywhere.
I can follow you anywhere. Have a good night's sleep.
Yep. That would fuck with me hardcore, man. I mean, be like,
whoa. Yeah.
Well, now what? Jesus.
So they ask it enough times to find out, find out what this entity or this spirit is. And it said that it was old Kate Batts' witch and would haunt John Bell as long as he lived.
So we go back to the whole, hey, maybe this is,
And there was a Kate Batts, like we established earlier.
Right.
And there was a little bit of bad blood, but everybody thought that she wasn't one to hold a grudge anyway, and she wasn't dead. She was alive. And they didn't think she was a witch. She never got put on trial. None of this backed up. Like,
that's better.
Yeah. It wasn't that. Yeah. See, good thing it wasn't that long ago because, she would have just been at the stake. But anyway, she's got a wall.
Oh, yeah. Now her husband, Kate Batts' husband, he was paralyzed from like a tree falling on him or something. So she was, she pretty much took care of their homestead and
ran the farm. Yes.
Ran the farm like a man. And back then that was kind of a big deal. And she was a big lady. I mean, she was pretty.
You would have been
big.
stout. You would have been stout running a farm. That's how that goes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
But she was just kind of a weirdo too. Every account that I found said, she seemed nice enough, but she was a bit of an oddball.
Yeah, but that doesn't make you a witch. You know what I mean? I'm a bit of an oddball.
Yeah, but I mean, in most of these cases we've covered in the past, when we bring up the term oddball, we're talking about serial killers. I'm going to throw that out there.
That's getting rough, doesn't it?
So
So John and Betsy got the worst of the hauntings. Like Betsy would get beaten. Like,
Yeah. It
like
would slap her,
slapped.
smack her.
Yeah, throw her around. Like they couldn't see anything, but they could actually hear it. Like they could hear the noises of bam, like her face getting slapped. It looks red.
She's physically showing bruises and scratches, and
and her hair pulled and stuff like that because it did not want her to marry Josh Gardner, who she was set to marry. And then another story that I heard is one of the daughters going out to get eggs, walking down the road, like a rock road on the path, and then hearing footsteps behind her, turn around and see like a woman following her dressed in black, right?
Okay.
So she's not sure. She didn't see the woman when she came out. She doesn't know why the woman's there. But the woman takes off her bonnet and like all of her hair falls down. It's just like long black hair. So I'm thinking like The Ring kind of thing, only it's a grown woman. So she starts walking toward her, but this lady's got her back to her and she thinks she's scratching her hair. But as she gets closer, she's not scratching her hair. She's like ripping hair out.
Oh my.
Yeah. And as she gets closer, she's just going faster and faster and faster. So she goes back inside and gets somebody. The lady's still there doing the same thing. So then the lady, there's like 3 kids that show up and follow this lady off into the woods, and they all go climb trees.
What?
I've got no fucking idea, man. I've read so much shit about this. The lady and the 3 kids all climb trees, and the trees are just swaying. So these 2 daughters are out there watching this, and then one of the guys comes out, and they're yelling at him, "Do you see this?" And all he can see is trees swaying, which they shouldn't be.
Right.
And then it just goes away.
That's messed up.
I'm like, dude, that's creepy as shit. I don't know if it's real, but that's fucking creepy as shit. Like, why wasn't creepy. That in the movie? I don't know what American Haunting missed on that. You should have been on the ball with that shit.
Hard to shake some fucking trees, guys. Jesus.
It's like apparently it was only the trees that they were in that were shaking. All the others weren't.
Oh, that's fucked up.
Yeah. So pretty crazy.
Yeah, the only tree thing I know with this whole thing is when Lucy's out with a couple of her brothers, and they see this girl in the distance, and they think she's up in a tree, and as they get closer, they realize it's a woman in a green dress, and she's hanging, like she's hung. And as they get closer,
kind of thing.
Yeah, as they get closer, she like smiles and looks at them, and they freak the fuck out and they take off.
Oh.
And that's like soon after that's when the bell witch started speaking to all the bells.
I got a little chill after you said she looked at him and smiled, because that would be so fucking terrifying to be walking down a path and see that.
I have a little pee in my pants.
First of all, you'd be like devastated. You'd be a little bit devastated that you're seeing this, but then it opens his eyes and smiles at you. I'd shit my pants immediately. Fuck that.
I think I'd be like, oh hell no, and exit the building.
So the witch did not like Josh Gardner and did not want Betsy to marry him. Okay?
And he was the more age appropriate suitor, correct? He was like 18, something like that.
Yeah, it was a closer of an age.
Yeah,
not a 35-year-old marrying a 13-year-old.
35-year-old school teacher that actually had her in school prior.
Yeah. So here comes the part for you, because the Andrew Jackson thing comes up.
Yeah.
Now I've read that he was president at this time. I read he wasn't president at this time.
This was 10 years prior to him becoming president.
Okay. See, I'd read that differing things.
Now, as far as the account goes, the book, the very first publishing of this, it was 70 years after John Bell died. And I think Andrew Jackson had been dead for at least 10 or 15 years as well. So,
right.
But by all accounts, yes, he definitely could have been there. He was in the Battle of New Orleans, I believe. Yeah. With both of John Sr. and John Jr. Bell. They were all there together. And Andrew Jackson actually owned property not very far from their farm at the time.
Yes. Yeah. So the story was with their cart wouldn't move. Like they got to a certain point, their cart wouldn't move.
They got halfway across the creek or a river, and they couldn't figure out why it wouldn't move. Horses couldn't pull the cart. Yeah,
and then they even got guys off to start pushing, and they still couldn't budge it, so they had to camp for the night. And then they would hear voice. They would hear a voice coming out of the
version
woods.
I heard was they got about halfway across, it wouldn't come across, and then they hear the Bell Witch say, "All right, boys, I'll see you later tonight." And then as soon as she said that, and then when they were camping that night, one of the guys in their camp said he was, wasn't afraid of any witch or anything like that. At which point he started to be slapped upside the face and in the head, and his hair was getting pulled, and he proceeded to shit his pants and exit the tent.
Yeah, but that was okay. So I don't know if that's true or not, because that's coming from Marvin Ingram's book, which he said he had. He said he had a journal from Richard Bell, but he wouldn't release the journal until all the Bells were dead.
Yeah, that was actually the journal was actually the first book ever written on the subject, and it ends up being a chapter in that book. One whole chapter is. But
to hold it back until everybody's dead makes me suspicious as hell.
I think it was until the last surviving member of
that family,
of that family, and that's what he did. So,
but the journal was never released. Nobody has it.
No, he had it.
From what I've seen.
No, he had it and he put it in the book. I think he was given the journal and said, you can't use any of this, and you can't write about this until after everyone is dead and gone.
He's never released the journal, is what I had seen. It's like he wouldn't.
No, that original journal it's all of it. It's all included in his novel. It was really short.
Okay.
So
I don't know if I trust that asshole, but it doesn't matter.
Well, dude, this is all folklore, and it's
true.
It's
let's just go.
Well, he said. Well, she said. Yeah. I mean,
more open-minded.
We can't prove or disprove any of this shit. So I mean,
I want it to be real anyway. So.
Goddamn Bell Witch, man.
Well, they said people started traveling there. Like people were coming they were like camping out in their front yard trying to witness something. Like they wanted, to see things. And there was like 3 years of this kind of activity going on.
Constant bombardment.
Yes, just nonstop. But then John is finally killed. He is laying in bed. And they go through the medicine cabinet and they find a vial in there that wasn't supposed to be in there, but it was filled with like a black liquid.
Black smoky liquid.
Yeah. And they was like, you need to test this out. You need to test this out on like some animal or something. So they gave it to some cats and killed them. So it was some kind of poison.
Cats went ate shit for like 10 minutes and they just rolled over and died. Yep.
Yeah. So 3 years of it, just constant torment.
Yep.
Dude, that would suck. But when John died, they said there was a laughter that rang out through the house. From
yes,
Witch.
There was laughter before that, and she took on like 3 different personalities, as well as the Kate Bats. There was mathematics, is that right? I'm trying to remember the other 2, but one was like a boy's voice, and then mathematics was drunk all the time, saying that they were going to one of the neighbors' stills and getting drunk and coming back. And that sounds like a fucking Monty Python skit to me, like fucking drunk ghosts. Yeah. Get drunk and sing songs. And that was like the entertainment for them. And I thought another weird thing with this whole ghost, whatever it is, entity, there were several people that came and I remember it was one British guy that came by, because he thought it was all bullshit. He was going to prove them all wrong. And this thing started talking to him, in his parents' voice. And saying shit that his dead grandmother, had said to him when their servants were, and he's freaked out, and he's super freaked out, and this thing says, "I'm gonna go fuck with your parents now," and it's gone for like 2 minutes.
Okay. Yeah.
And then it comes back, and then he writes to them after he gets home, and he apologizes because, indeed, in the 2 minutes, it had apparently been fucking with his parents in England.
Yeah. Because this is, I mean, seriously, when you look at this story, how much different is this than the Black Monk? I mean, really.
It's not really that much different.
Is it one thing out there? Is it many things out there? Is it, who
it's
knows?
Like everywhere all at once. Yeah.
And it just pops up when it wants to and breaks everybody's balls for however long it wants to while it's having a good time, and then fucks off to somewhere else.
Yep.
But I did see that, after John's death, the witch moved on to Betsy, just coming after her all the time until she did break off her engagement, and then the witch left. But it said, I'm just going to say witch because I like it. It said it would be back in 7 years, in which it did return in 7 years, but it wasn't as bad. There wasn't as much stuff. But,
right.
So, yeah.
A couple of the other things that I wanted to throw in there that I thought were interesting were they're sitting there talking at the table, the family is at one point, and they missed church, and they said, I wonder what the sermon was about. And the witch just apparently goes through and recites the whole sermon that they had missed. And then later, that pastor comes over, and indeed, that's exactly what it was. And then the witch says, well, this is what happened at the Lutheran church. And she recites that sermon. And then the Lutheran pastor comes over, and he says, well, yeah, that was what my sermon was today. So that was fucked up.
That's pretty crazy.
Yep.
Dude, yeah. So the thing that it was like after John's death, and then John's tombstone was stolen around 1951. It says on his new tombstone, stolen around there sometime.
Yeah, but the kids that stole it died.
Was that true?
Yeah. Yeah.
Holy
there's a
shit.
There's a curve, I guess, right around the cemetery, and they call it the Devil's Elbow. And apparently these kids flipped the car when they were leaving, and they died. Tombstone was never recovered, and it's now been replaced by a different headstone. Yeah,
yeah, I seen the new headstone. I didn't know about that part. That's fucking awesome, though.
Yeah,
that's really
the
cool.
devil. The devil is in the details, Matt. The devil's in the details.
Guys, I will apologize. I didn't get to do as much research on this one as I wanted to. I've been...
dude, it's cool that we leave it open and you just kind of scat on it because, there's so many things that we can't say happened.
We can't say any of this is fact. Other than the fact
we can say... There. We can say that they lived there in a fucked up time when you could own people and it was okay for 13-year-olds to marry 30-year-olds.
Gross.
Let's just be thankful that we don't do that anymore.
Yes. We've moved on as a species, it feels. At least a little bit. We need to go
slightly,
farther, but we're getting closer.
We're inching along.
Yeah. So they do have the cave stories. The Bell Witch Cave, where they still say things to this day. And then one of the things that I am interested in big time is the Bell Witch Festival. It's the last 2 weeks in October where they do Spirit. It's called Spirit, and that's the play of this whole story. They put on a play every year, at least a few times, and they talked about the numbers growing and growing and growing. And it's like, man, I would love to go watch that. That would be fun as hell.
Yeah, that would be fucking pretty sweet.
So
it's Adams, right? Adams, Tennessee.
Adams, Tennessee. Yeah,
and it's not terribly far from Nashville.
Nope, not too far at all.
Yeah,
I bet a lot more calm though.
Let's hope so. I mean, I think this whole area is been deemed as like national park type area now.
I think they
with the cave.
But there is still actually. Okay, now I don't know how much I believe it, but there's still part of the Bell house that they said they moved to a place, and it's still standing, like part of it.
Okay,
it's not where it used to be, but they say that it's still there. Now I don't know if that's true or if it's just used to get your money, which I'll believe either. Mostly to get your money thing, I'll believe, but
hello, give me your money.
Yeah, it's one of those things. But I did like the story about seeing the woman in the middle of the road ripping her hair out and then running off with 3 kids up into the trees, and they said they were just staring at them while the trees were swaying. I was like, that's fucking creepy as hell.
This story is super strange in the fact that, like, okay, so she said she was going to kill John Bell, and when you mentioned, that he had died in that part, I guess the version I've heard of that was his son comes upstairs, opens a medicine cabinet because he's going to give his dad some medicine. His dad had like some acute jaw pain, so they were giving him some painkillers and stuff. But he goes to reach for it, and then he hears the witch say, "No need. I've already taken care of him." And then she laughed.
Yeah, and then I read another one where he went to the medicine cabinet, opened it up, and there was no medicine in there. It was only that
one black vial.
Yeah, that black vial that was in there, that smoky black vial.
Yep.
So,
and apparently she was singing like drinking songs during his funeral. I heard that as well. Yeah. And then she laughed when they were singing there, trying to commemorate him, and she said, "You fools, I've killed him. He's dead. He's gone. I've won."
So it does make me throw back to like the American Haunting movie. Like, if that was closer to the truth than what we think, and that oldest daughter was getting treated wrong by her father, and it was a poltergeist, and she was controlling it but didn't know she was controlling it, kind of thing. It's like
this all started about the time she became a woman, and we've mentioned that before with poltergeist stuff.
A woman at that time is not what I consider a woman today. But.
Nor do I.
If you ain't 43 years old, I don't want anything to do with you.
I'll one up
you. Get away
you.
from me, child.
Another weird thing about this story, Matt, is we mentioned the cave thing, but never have I heard of a ghost kill one man, but then save a child.
That's what leads me more to the poltergeist thing. Like, I don't know if it might not have been a ghost at all. It could have been projected from Betsy's mind somehow.
Yeah.
But I don't know how. It's so fucking nuts.
It's like
it could have been is like maybe something was happening to her that wasn't reported, because of course it wouldn't have been reported because the dude was wealthy.
Right.
He owned people. Fuck. I mean, what wouldn't he do? If you're going to give your daughter away she's a woman at 13.
Yeah.
Fucking monster.
Well, he's dead. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. We can be casual about it now, I suppose.
Yeah. Might as well be. Just sit here and shoot shit about old John Bell. Mm-hmm.
I heard like the Bell Witch came from the Blair Witch came from this, but yeah.
I think it's loosely based on the story of the Bell Witch,
It could be.
Well, I'll tell you what. When we decide we want to dive deep into this, maybe we'll revisit it later. But I think it's a really cool story, and like I said, I don't know if you go back and look at the times, and you think about the religion that they had at that time, where they were doing like the whole fucking serpents and snakes and shit and like getting down and having revival, you know, that was still pretty relevant at the time. And it's documented that the Methodists were doing this not real far from the Bell's house. And primarily the people that lived there were Baptists, which they looked down on this and they thought it was, you know, had to do with the devil when you were speaking in tongues. You know, it's just,
of course,
the devil pretending to be God. So some of this shit might be just like people saying this shit just because, you know, they thought it was weird.
But I did like the fact of a bunch of people going over there, like camping out, trying to see something. People staying the night and they witnessed things too. Like they were coming out saying, yeah, I heard this, but okay. If I send you into a house and I tell you this whole fucking backstory about this house and how haunted it is, and I know fuck all about this house. Really.
Yeah.
I'm telling you this story and you go in there and you sleep, you're going to hear shit. You're going to most likely see shit even. But if I send you into a house that is actually haunted or I think it's haunted and I say nothing about it, I'm like, no, it's just a regular house. You just stay in there. You won't see shit. You won't hear shit. Nothing.
Yeah.
So
because once you plant the seed in somebody's imagination, it just...
A lot of it's in your head, I think.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But then if it is in your head and you see one little thing, then it can explode.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Matt, you got anything else, man?
I don't think so. If we got to come back to this, we will. If somebody thinks we didn't tackle it enough, but I mean,
I think we covered the bases. I think the only thing I didn't mention is story wise that I wanted to was when Kate Batts walked into church 20 minutes late one day, and some guy was trying to be saved, and she just sat her fat ass right on top of him.
Did that happen?
Yeah. Yeah. She just sat right on top of him. Yeah, like I said, she was a bit of an oddball.
I'm a fan of Kate Batts.
Crazy batshit lady.
But I do want to get down there to that festival. I seriously fucking do. I would love to go watch that play because I was watching that documentary and they were showing like clips of that play.
Yeah,
looks fucking fun as hell. I'd love to go down there, sit underneath that pavilion and watch that shit. Sounds like fun.
Why don't you just video it for me so I don't have to go that far? It's a little further for me than it is for you.
You're coming with me if I go. That's the only catch. You have to be here.
All right. Well, you pay for the plane ticket.
I need somebody to hold my hand in case I get scared.
Well, who's gonna hold my hand? All right. Well, guys, that is all we have for this week. Thank you for joining us once again on Hello, Mr. Fancy Pants. Be sure to like, rate, review podcasts wherever you get your podcasts, and do us a favor. Go check out our live stream every Saturday night currently until we change the date. But every Saturday night, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. And you can find us at all of those at HMFPPOD. And if you decide you want to check out our website, we just we did a thing. We made a website. Guess what? It's called www.hmfppod.com.
Keep it all the same. Keep it simple.
Trying to. But we have some t-shirts and some koozies and coffee mugs and shit like that. So if you want to help support the podcast, you can do it by going and buying a t-shirt.
Yeah, and this episode will come out later, but we've got like listener stories coming in for the Saturday night thing that we do, and it's not a lengthy thing. If you've got a little story you want to get on there, email it. You can call in and tell it. Whatever you want to do, just bring it.
Or I'll tell you what, if you will email us and you want to tell your story, I can send you the link and you can actually get on the live stream with us and tell your story.
Yeah. I'd rather have you live. That would be so much more fun.
Yeah, always is. And you can email us at hmfppod@gmail.com. And that's all I got, man. So, guys, until next week, I am Zach.
Or
who?
Stay witchy.
Stay witchy? Right on. Hey, guys. Later.
Later.
It's evil! Don't touch it!
I like you.
They're coming to get you by the power of Christ.
This is Hello, Mr. Fancy Pants.
We can't do that.
I know we can't.
Fuck's sake.
Like I said, we're going to have fun with this.
You motherfucker. I'm fucking crying.
Good.
Oh, I fucking quit.
You're welcome.
You fucking asshole. I needed that. Okay.